What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. I'm really excited because this episode is a bombshell. We're going to talk about the number one mistake that eBay resellers make. And guys, this episode is over an hour long, and our Facebook group is really popping now, and there's a lot of cool new benefits. So, as you guys know, I partnered with Tech and Sports. He's one of the only resellers I know that does over $1 million every single year on eBay, just selling items from the thrift store. So he and I have been doing this group for a few months now. There's 300 members in the Facebook group, and now we have 5 coaches. So we have Monica the Posh Hanger. She's going over full-time eBay, full-time Amazon. We have Ashley Hustle at Home Mom going over how to run a business, making 6 figures and running a household. We have Jack, who did $1 million last year on Amazon FBA. So what I recommend you do is hop on, sign up under the person that you want to support. But all the $34.99 levels are the same. So you actually get 9 hours of coaching every single week, which is insane. And you get my reseller field guide for free. So I just updated the spreadsheet really massively yesterday. So now it's a 4-step system. Also includes my listing template, but a 4-step system to keep track of your expenses, which is massive. So all you do is you download a copy of this ledger. You add in the revenue that you make from every platform, you add up your expenses, and boom, it tells you how much profit you make every single month. You can give this to your CPA and pretty much be done with your tax. Now, this is not tax preparation. This is just giving you an idea of what you actually owe tax on. So I updated it. This is included in my reseller field guide, which comes with the membership to the Resellers Podcast Facebook group, which has been amazing. Even since joining this group myself, I've gone from 7,000 listings to 12,000 listings. So I almost doubled up in the last 3 months myself being in this group and learning from everybody. So let's get straight into the group. Remember, you can join at patreon.com/the Resellers Podcast. This is a really good episode. So I'll see you guys in there. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's do it. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. Today, we're going to talk about the number one mistake that we see resellers making, which is very clear and it's across the whole board. And I'm guilty of this as well. It's making decisions based on what other people are doing instead of focusing on what you're doing. Your circumstances are different. Every item is different. And the example I'm going to start with is if you're selling pool tables and everyone is 2,000 pounds, you're probably not going to offer free shipping because it's different than somebody selling 4-ounce video games that cost $4 to ship. It might cost you $800 to ship a pool table or more. It's not the same category.
Yeah, and a lot of people get caught up into, either keeping up with the Joneses or comparing themselves to others. At the end of the day, you have to run your business the best way that you feel that it needs to be ran. Whether it's free shipping, whether it's 30-day free returns, whether it's no returns. Everybody has a different approach to business, the fast nickel, the slow dime. Just focus on what's best for you and then get laser focused in on that. And that will help you build your business much more successfully.
So we're going to talk about when people are getting started. You don't really know what sells fast and what sells slow. And our advice is always like, get the best items you can. And that's limited to your knowledge, but you got to get your reps in. Can't do one push-up and get a nice body. It takes some time. You got to learn and look at the solds. And my recommendation is you want to sell popular items at a slight discount. And I define that as when you look in the solds, you see that the item has sold multiple times in the last few months. And if there's 10 available and you see 10 sales in the last 90 days, you can kind of guess it'll take you 3 months or less to sell it. And you need your money back quick. So you've got to price it probably a little bit lower. You got to churn it over. That's why it's so important. If you're running on a limited budget and just getting started, you got to keep your costs low, sell stuff around the house.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the live video that I did last night. We were looking at a couple different brands. So like CC Filson, as of last night, there was like 8,300 sold for CC Filson, but like 3,100 listings.
Yeah.
So that's an item that you can't keep in stock. It's going to turn quickly and it's going to sell quickly. You don't have to be a professional, eBay seller to know that metric that, there's way more solds than listed. On the contrary, a brand that we looked up, Ben Sherman, which they make button-up shirts and whatnot, there's something like 24,000 listings, but 3,000 sold. So if you're
Wow.
at the thrift, we all have the luxury nowadays, which we didn't used to have, but everyone has a cell phone in their pocket. You can shop the whole store, take everything that you like that, piques your interest. You go into the corner, you look up the solds, and you could do the same math right there. You look up how many are available versus how many are sold. So like for a lot of polo stuff, polo is a heavily saturated category. Something like that is, you know, you can't expect to sell that the same day, the same week, the same month when it's such a heavy, saturated, highly competitive category. So, one good thing to do if you're new is see how much is on the market and see how much is sold. And that'll give you a good idea on how fast that brand or that item is going to sell.
When you're new, you don't know the nuances of the category. I mean, I remember on one of our calls, a lady was wearing a polo hat, and you knew that if it had a leather strap or not, it would actually affect the price. And maybe it would affect how fast it would sell too.
Yeah, correct. So the leather strap back ones, those are like 25, $30. The ones with the regular cotton strap back, those are 20, $25. But yeah, just little different things like that is what you pick up as you sell those type of items. We talk about, the reseller Rolodex that you have in your head, from the jump, if you can just remember those things of like, I sold this hat for X amount of money. I sold this hat that was similar for a little bit more, but I sold it for a little bit more for this reason. And those reasons translate across multiple brands. So it's the same thing. If you have like a Tommy Hilfiger hat, and if it has a leather strap back, it can command a couple more dollars. So, that reseller Rolodex when you're new is super, super important. And I make it a point to remember just about every single item I sell and how much I sell it for. That way, when you're at the thrift or you are making a buy, as you're going through the rack, this is 22, this is 18, this is 16, this is 30, this is 36. Like you already know, and you do have to make that effort to commit it to memory.
I think Ralph Lauren might be the best example because they have Chaps Ralph Lauren, which is kind of a lower end.
Yeah.
It goes all the way up to double RL. There's Ralph Lauren Black Label. There's Purple Label. It goes the full gamut. And here's another mistake people make. Just because somebody's asking $600 for a double RL shirt does not mean that's the market.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, it can be all the way from polo jeans to chaps to, like you said, double RL. Double RL is such an expensive brand that it's not even profitable for Ralph Lauren to make that brand. That's how high quality the materials are, and that's how much it costs to produce. But just because it says $1,400, you're not going to get 1,400. And people can ask any kind of price they want. So, when you are out buying something and someone does show you on eBay or at a garage sale, they like to tape that piece of paper to the printer that they have for sale and go, look, it's on eBay for $160. And then when you check the solds, it sells for $40. So, you can't fall for that trick either when you're brand new. But, especially on the secondhand market, you know, for me, my business can survive on tighter margins. I'm not depending on every single sale to get me through the day or to pay a bill at the end of the day or the end of the week. So if I do have that double RL that retails for 1,400 brand new and you have it for that the same exact one, if a guy offers me $100 less, I might be more inclined to take the deal because that extra $100 isn't going to make or break me. So you got to remember, on the secondhand market, you're competing with a lot of other people who have a lot of different circumstances and who are running their business in a lot of different ways.
And if you were going to ask me, let's say that there's a brand new Chaps Ralph Lauren shirt that's $1 at a garage sale, or there's a double RL that's $50. I would say get the $1 Chaps Ralph Lauren all day long because 90% of people on eBay can buy that shirt for $20.
Yeah. All the double RL that I've gotten in the last year or two, it always goes to Asia. Sells pretty quick if you have it priced right, but um, that's a good sleeper brand that not a lot of people know about, but it always goes to Asia. It's red hot in Asia right now.
Yeah. But just remember, if you are just getting started, the cheaper the
Yeah.
item, the more chance you can flip it. And also with lower feedback, people are going to be less likely to buy a high-end item from you when you're getting started. And they can tell if you write in all the details, if you know what season it's from, if you know how to match the item, that's going to help you present yourself, give a higher perceived value, and people might actually pop. But if you put pre-owned on a Gucci and you don't know how to describe it, people are going to think it's fake just because you just presented it like a newbie.
Yeah, that goes for like Jordans and shoes and
Yeah.
stuff. Anytime I see like a hype pair of Jordans on someone with one or no feedback, I automatically assume it's not legit.
Yeah.
And that's not fair, but that's the nature of the beast because, you know, not all speeders get caught. So like on average, probably brand new accounts will sell more fakes than a more established account.
Yep. So I listened to an investing podcast today that said our job is to buy things when they're undervalued and to sell them when they're overvalued. So this is important when you're looking at things that are during the hype cycle. You mentioned this a few times, and I see it on Instagram all the time. If you're buying something and there's a lot of competition, you either need to be the cheapest one, or you need to wait for everyone to sell out of it so that you can be the last one and get all the money for it. You have to really think about that when you're buying something, because just because it sells for $90, you might ask $91 and never sell it.
Yeah, there's something, I call it peak media, especially on Instagram, especially on social media. When everyone is talking about it, that's the time to sell. We can use GameStop or get
Yep.
GameStop stock. Peak
Mhm.
media, when MSNBC was talking about it, CNBC was talking about it, CNN, it was on every single newspaper. That was the time to sell. A whole 24 hours later in the news cycle, nobody was talking about it, and the entire stock crashed.
Yep.
So when you're riding that wave of something that's highly desirable in the moment, that's the time to sell it. Or if you're competing on, usually this is what happens with brand new items. When you're competing SKU to SKU with somebody, when you're doing liquidation, or if you have, heavy quantities of one SKU, you either need to be the first one to market and sell it, or you have to be the last one that still has it to sell it in order to make any money. If you sell it anywhere in the middle, it's classic supply and demand. There's way too many on eBay and the demand is not there for it.
It's much riskier to deal with trendy type stuff versus stuff that has inherent value. Like as an example, here's a classic category that anyone can sell and you can find it anywhere. This is like pots and pans or nice knives or nice kitchen items. These items have inherent value. You can use a pot and pan and cook something. You can use a good knife and cut something. If you're selling a celebrity item because that celebrity just died, like the Kobe Bryant craze when he passed away, and every single Kobe Bryant item was worth 10 times its normal value for a couple of months. That went away because it's too temporary. If you're chasing that, you're going to be in trouble because that's just the wrong way to approach reselling. That's a short-term mentality. That's like a day trader.
Yeah, it's very different. And like I always say, we're in business year to year, not week to week, not day to day, not month to month. So we always have to have a long-term, clear, focused approach.
So also on that, you got to think about all long tail items versus short tail items. I think this is important when you're getting started. If you find a rare, like for example, I've seen these at thrift stores, or if you go to Savers, they'll have some rare vintage piece that they're asking, $200 for, and it may sell on eBay for 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000, but that might take 5 years to sell. You have no idea. If there's no solds, I'm not sure you should invest in it as a beginner.
Yeah, I mean that's how it goes. I have some shirts on my account that are worth over $1,000, but I fully expect those shirts to be there for an entire year, and I fully expect to take a low offer and not get what the item is fully worth. But I know that I'm going to sell 100,000 items with an average sale price of $30 in between that time.
So here's one thing that you don't see people doing on Instagram because it's not cool, and that's reinvesting the money. If you were to reinvest the profit that you made, that's not a very good flex on Instagram because no one even notices. If you bought dinner for your family or you went out and got a new car, then you can flex that, but that might kill your business growth.
Totally will, but it's not very cool to be broke, but your business to be up 100% because you
Yep.
reinvested all of your capital into the business to grow your business. So like for me, like I make it a point to stay broke. I need all of my money to be invested and to be working and to bring back more friends, more money. So like if I have too much money sitting in the bank, I'm doing something wrong. Whether I need to purchase more inventory, I need to purchase rental property, I need to do something. But that's not cool. That's not, there's no clout in doing that by saying whenever I accumulate a large amount of money, I spend it and go make it work. Like there's no clout in that, but like there's a lot of clout in buying a Ferrari that's going to depreciate.
That's right. And the one thing about resale is you really have to understand the numbers. I would say now, especially after meeting you and doing this group together, I think I know exactly to the penny how much it costs me to run things, especially when you start getting staff, you start having overhead, and you're spending over $1,000 a day on shipping. If you were to make a slight miscalculation, that's a few $100s gone.
Maybe more, man. Like maybe more. Like I'm spending at least $10,000 a week on shipping. You got warehouse, you got employees, you got electricity, you got internet, you have cost of goods. Like on any given week, like I can blow $50,000 just on overhead for this business alone. Like that's how ridiculous it is. And if you don't have the machine to sustain and to still thrive with spending money week over week, your business is going to fail. So like, of course, didn't get here overnight, or it didn't take, a couple of weeks to get here. But, if your business is throwing off $1,000, you can't spend 2,000. Like you go out of business real quick. So you have to know the numbers. And a lot of people do not know the numbers. This is what I would suggest to a lot of people, because a lot of people are confused about how much money they make on eBay. If you want a real reality check, Google one of these eBay fee calculators, type in a $20 sale that you bought for $5, type in if you're top rated, type in if you charge shipping, type in if you have promoted listings. A $20 item that you bought for $5, like you're not walking away with a whole lot of money, but a lot of people think they made $15. Like if you want a reality check, Google right now, put this on pause and Google an eBay fee calculator. And that'll give you a wake up call and a reality check. And once you figure out you're not making as much money as you thought you were, maybe it'll give you a little boost to start streamlining things and become a little more profitable, or, sell more items. That way you can afford to make less per.
This is such a great example because I just typed it in. Assuming it's over 1 pound, which most items are, unless
Uh-huh.
it's a lightweight clothing item on a $20 sale, if you paid $5 and you did all the work yourself, it's $4.20 a profit before gas, your time, everything. I mean, you're talking, you didn't even double your money and you sold it for 4 times what you paid for it.
Nope. But that eBay chart looks great on Instagram, though.
It does. It looks like you killed it because you sold something for 4 times what you paid for it. And
Because
you'll see people.
eBay, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
eBay charges final value fee. eBay charges insertion fee. eBay charges a final value fee on shipping. eBay charges a final value fee on sales tax. eBay charges promoted listing. They're going to start pay per click. You have the cost of goods. We're not even accounting for paying to store it. We're not accounting for supplies like an envelope, for, ink, for a label, like driving it to the post office. Like that item might literally be a break even item.
That's right. And it might not sell. You also have the fact that not every single item is going to sell in your store.
And
You got to plan.
and
Go
and
ahead.
here's the kicker. That item makes $4.62 today, but this week the post office just came out that they're going to slow the delivery times but raise the price. So next year that item's going to make $3.62.
Yep.
Next year gas is going to go up. Next year your rent at your warehouse is going to go up. Next year cost of goods at the thrift are going to go up. That $20 sale that you got for $5 is going to be a negative sale in 2 years.
When you understand the numbers, then essentially what you do is I feel like you naturally become a little bit more conservative. I was looking at Bill Gates. He told his employees in the beginning, we're going to have 1 year of salary saved up for the entire company in case that year we have zero revenue. Think about how conservative that is. Like, we're not going to spend one penny until there's a year in the bank of bill money in case for some reason, and this could have happened for some reason, computers could have just been obsolete for a year and they need to think of something else to do. He was that prepared for the uncertain.
Or COVID.
Right. Or COVID.
So right now I'm so uncertain about the future. I literally have 10,000 pieces of inventory in the queue. So that way, if all the thrift stores close again for another 3 months, that all the people who work for me have job security, and we have 3 months worth of inventory that we can list, and everyone could come to work, no stress. They know their job is safe because I've put that investment forward as a responsible employer, where it cost me over $50,000 to buy 10,000 pieces. Mm-hmm. And it's just sitting there collecting dust right now. But once you get to a level where you do want to take on employees, it's a humongous responsibility. It's not just paying somebody on Friday. These people have families. These people have houses. These people have lives. Like, if you're going to run a real business with real employees, it's a huge responsibility.
Absolutely. And you got to think about, the crew that I'm working with. I'm like, you need to let me know if your circumstances are changing. Let me know ahead so that I can try to find somebody to replace you. And I'll give you the same courtesy. I'm overbuying right now so I can make sure I have stuff for you to list later. I'm going, this is a two-way street. And that's good. When you're a small business, you put me onto that show, that Billionaire Show, that turnaround store. And you can see when the founder has nothing, he needs some buy-in from the staff. You need people to be on their A game because you are running a tight ship in the beginning. You might be losing your money. You might be running your business on your credit card. It's so slim in the beginning, and having that buy-in from your employees and thinking long-term, do you have money to pay your staff for an entire year? That is big thinking.
It's super important, man, because if your employees are unsure if they're going to have a job next week, or if you give them a check and it doesn't clear, a smart person is going to be out the door. They're not going to be waiting around to make sure you have your ducks in a row, and you can't blame them. So, that comes to the topic of, everyone wants to get an employee. Everyone wants to do this. Everyone wants to do that. And this episode is sort of about keeping up with the Joneses. And my personal belief, I've said it before, and, no offense to anyone that has, I don't think you should hire an employee until your shipping is so much to do every single day as a result of so many sales that it takes you so long to ship and you don't have enough time to do everything else. Now, couple caveats. If you have a full-time job, if you have little kids, no problem. Hire help sooner. But if you're a full-time single person, I don't think it's the best time to hire until you have so many packages to ship that it's totally disrupting the rest of the day. And if you use that formula to make your first hire, guess what? Your company will be able to afford the hire. If your first hire is because you don't like to take pictures and you're only doing 20 a day, that's not a very good, inclination that business is going to survive long term, in my opinion.
So right now, this is a good conversation because minimum wage is going up.
Yep.
So I was talking to my crew, and they're like, "What would we have to do to increase our hourly?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a small business. We have to have a greater output. Yep. For me to pay you more money, you've got to be able to photograph more items, list more items. So help me figure out what it would take to improve your own job, because I can pay you more if you produce more. And I'd rather have less people who do more than more people who do less. And right now, as it creeps up, as minimum wage creeps up, you need more skilled work. So you've got to be in there thinking about, how can I help this person list more items so they have some job security? Also, if your employee senses that you're not stable, they're going to be looking for another job. And that's also something that, if you are their sole provider of income, it's very different.
Yeah, I mean, like for your situation there, if they're trying to get more money, like you said, that they have to produce more income for the business, because then they can, for them to ask for more money today, it's not right. You have no incentive to give them more money. If in 2 months they say, "Hey, Chris, Remember when we were doing 100 a day? Now we're doing 160 a day.
Mm-hmm.
I see now you're, instead of shipping 75, you're shipping 125.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing this for 2 months. You've been shipping 125 a day instead of 75 because we have been busting our tails getting a lot of work done. How do you feel about giving me a couple extra bucks per hour? And
Mm-hmm.
you have no argument. You have nowhere to stand but to say, you know what, you're absolutely right. You guys have been working hard. You guys have been working great. Here's more money. But if everything stays the same for the next 6 months and they say, hey, I've been here for 6 months, what do you think about boosting me up a buck or two per hour? You can't do it because you're not producing any more or any differently to, validate that raise. And, a lot of people don't understand that, but it's strictly numbers, and it's hard to tell a good employee that, or it's hard to tell any employee that, but it's about the dollars and the cents at the end of the day. And that's your sole responsibility as a business owner. Your sole responsibility as a business owner is to make sure that business survives long term. So there are tough decisions when you have employees, and you have to have a backbone and tell them, I can't give you more money because you're not producing more money for the company.
Mm-hmm.
If you can find a way to produce more money for the company, then again, we can sit down and we can have that conversation. But, you know, it's very difficult to have that backbone with an employee.
So this is going to segue a little bit to the question that we get often, which is like, which types of items do we focus on? Do we look for the spring? Do we look for the fall? When you, this is the same thing with an employee. Just because you just started to list 50, 60, maybe you quadrupled your output. Your income doesn't quadruple yet.
No.
So if you let them know, hey, it takes some time for it to go, that they're going to be understanding, because if they're watching you, the sales don't go up right away.
Right. Absolutely.
It
So
takes time.
yeah, just by increasing your listings, like I said earlier in a chat we had, I
Mm-hmm.
increased my listings last March from 160 per day to 250 per day every single day. And I'm just now seeing the results of that 10 months later,
Mm-hmm.
11 months later. That's how long it took, and that's how much we all had to work hard to see those results 10 months later. So nothing is overnight for sure. And, they have to understand that now. If they're busting their tail doing a bunch of extra work and you pull up in a Porsche next week, then you got a big problem. So, you got to keep everything, you got to do business the right way.
Also, if you want to sell things quicker, there's a caveat here. You could sell things that are more on trend right now. Let's say right now we're still, where I live, there's still a little bit of a chill. Outerwear is still selling really well. Outerwear is not going to sell as well as swimwear, and shorts in the summer. If you're planning ahead, right now there's probably a discount on summer wear. There's probably a discount on Christmas stuff. So you
Yeah,
can plan way ahead.
yeah, definitely so. But even in the summertime here, it's winter time for half the earth. Below the
Mm,
equator, it's going to be winter. Australia has their winter and our summer.
hmm
So for me personally, since I have a goal that I have to list 91,250 items per year, it doesn't give me the ability to pick and choose based on seasonality. My ultimate goal is to just get the items up and they'll sell when they sell, whether it's a jacket in the summer or swimwear in the winter. So when you're smaller, I would say when you're medium size, maybe you can, kind of focus more on seasonality. But when you're small, you just got to focus on finding quality items to get up. And when you have a large store, it's the same thing. You got to focus on quality items to get up, no matter the season. But I wouldn't let the seasonality of anything handcuff you at all.
When you get to a certain size store, you can't blink. This should be enough of a motivation for you to build a larger store, because you get to a certain point where I was just showing this morning in my call, the lowest day I had in the last 30 days was $1,000. And that would be considered a bad day because of the size of the store. And if you can get to the point where now, somebody asked you, is there too many pencil skirts that do well? Should I not, if pencil skirts are selling, should I only buy a few? And you said buy all of them.
Yeah, if they're selling them, buy all of them. The thing with eBay is like everything is going to sell eventually. Like they have so much traffic, it's going to sell eventually. It just depends how long you can lock your money up for. But, if you are reinvesting all of your money back into the business, then your cash flow shouldn't be an issue. But, if you're popping bottles when you get that first big sale, or, you're going out on the town because you had a good day or good week, that's going to totally kill your business in the long run. So, as long as you're reinvesting all of your money into the business, there should be no question about, should I just buy a couple or buy all of them?
So I would say another thing that I see, that if we're because we're talking about comparing ourselves to people on Instagram.
Yep.
If you see somebody that was like, I took the day off today to go look for these special dolls that sell for 10 times my money, that person usually is not as successful as someone who has a routine. Every single Saturday, they go to garage sales, they list on Sundays, and at night, they do their customer service and shipping. That person, that is not cool on Instagram to say you do the same thing every week.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time or two back in the early days where, I would chase a bolo, and it's hard to find those things because you're not the only one chasing after them. And then you come home with maybe one, maybe two, and you lost money for the day because you could have made more money just following your routine of getting your own listings up and just building up your store and staying productive inside of your store. So, like, for me to go chase a bolo, it's guaranteed I lose money that day.
So I was thinking about this earlier. Do you want to make $1,000 today looking for a bolo, or do you want to make $1,000 every day because you built a routine?
Yeah, the $1,000 today looking for the bolo is today only,
Yeah,
and
today
that
only.
is not long term, man. And like you said, you have to make every decision in a blink. It's very easy when you're focused because every decision is no. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to chase a bolo. I'm not going to screw around. I'm not going to watch Game of Thrones. I'm not going to do it. I have a business to build. That's what I'm going to do. So for me, 99.9% of the decisions I have to make every single day is no. And that's made in the blink of an eye because I'm laser focused on a goal to be finished by 4 o'clock, have 250 listings up, have a 75 more in the weekend queue, and that's what I need to do today. I have no time for any shenanigans outside of that. So every single question or decision, blink of an eye is going to be no, because the number one priority is to continue to build this business.
And I love when we asked Ashley, because she's coaching on Thursdays, what do you do with 10 hours? She had a very clear answer. Listing habit,
Mm-hmm.
garage sales. That's it. That's maybe all you can do with 10 hours.
Absolutely. And everyone's circumstance is different. Every,
Yep.
everybody's circumstance is different. And, we're
Hmm.
all working on our own time if you're full time doing this. So you are going to have the flexibility to, put something down and go attend to something else. But we have to get all of this stuff done before we finish the day. So, like, my goal is to get 250 listings up before 4 p.m. But if I got to put it down, I can come back to it. I have that ability, and I'll just get them up before 8 p.m. I'll just get them up before 10 p.m. But no
Hmm.
matter what, open to close, I have to get those listings up. There's no negotiations. And if you are that strict on yourself, you're going to be way better off than, I'll do it tomorrow, or I didn't get 250 but I got 160. Like, that's still more than anybody else. Like, that doesn't work, man. You can't make excuses for yourself if it's your job to be a self-starter and your job to be your own boss.
And that brought me to my thought earlier, which was if you take Saturday off, your business takes Saturday
Mm-hmm.
off. And eBay doesn't take any breaks. It's online 24/7. If you feed the beast, it's going to spit you money. It's like one of the only businesses, period, that pays you while you sleep.
And it's one of the only businesses, period, that pays you for the amount of effort that you put in.
That's right.
One of the only ones, period, that pays you for the amount of effort that you put in. If you don't do nothing today, if you don't do nothing tomorrow, if you don't do nothing the next day, eBay is going to punish you. If I do 250 listings per day, I know I'm going to get 5 million impressions. Without a doubt, that's what I'm going to get per day.
That's right.
But if I
And
do nothing for a whole week, what obligation does eBay have to give me 5 million impressions? They have no obligation to do so because I'm not home. I'm away from the computer.
hmm so when you're looking online because you're just getting started and you're seeing what people do, it's okay to look at what people do, but just prioritize what you have in front of you. What's your budget? How many hours do you have per week? What's your routine? A routine is king.
Yeah.
That's really the most amazing thing that I have noticed about you over the last few months is your routine. It's not like it's been exactly the same for 10 years, but you've adjusted it. It is just the consistency is unmatched. And that's really why your business has consistent traffic.
Right. So show me how to construct an Instagram post for clout about being consistent.
I know that doesn't exist.
That's why I don't post on Instagram hardly, because there ain't nothing to post. I do the same thing every single day, 365 days a year. And there's no clout in doing that. There's no clout in open to close, getting up 250 listings per day, not doing anything fancy. There's no clout in doing that. Like, but there is clout in doing a lot of other stuff, chasing bolos, doing this, doing that. But, just build a business around a routine that you could do 365 days a year, whether it's listing 20, listing 10, working when your kids go to sleep, working before your kids wake up, working on your lunch break, whatever routine you can do, build the machine around it. So that way you can succeed in that routine every single day.
I want to talk about the greatest time savings device that there is, and that is just eliminating whatever it is that you were supposed to that takes up the time. So I fell into this trap on Instagram, on YouTube. I heard about people selling on 10 different platforms. I heard one lady say she sells on 18 different platforms. And at first I was thinking, oh, that's cool. Maybe she gets a little bit of traffic from all 18. But then now I realize if you took that effort of learning 18 platforms and just put that effort into one platform, if you listed 18 items instead of the same item on 18 platforms, you have like 18 more hooks in the water. That's how you're saying of having more hooks in the water really resonated with me, because that gives you the greatest opportunity to catch a fish.
Yeah, especially in the search algorithm. I think you said it before. Somebody said it, but Poshmark, they're a household name almost at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't even do in a whole year what eBay does in one day.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you divert so much attention towards a platform that's not even 100, not even 1/365th of what eBay is? That's why when people ask me, do I list otherwhere? Do I list on Grailed? Do I list on Depop? Do I list on Macari? Like if Poshmark is not even 1/365th, like what is Grailed? Like
Nothing.
eBay does what they do in a whole year in an hour. Like why would you divert so much attention to a platform that has no traffic? eBay has all the traffic. Amazon has all the traffic. That's where you need to go with your merchandise.
Yeah, the biggest platforms right now are for search traffic are Amazon, eBay, Facebook, Google. Those four
Yep.
companies have like all of the business. If
Yep.
you got really good at any of those four companies, you could easily become a millionaire.
And
That's it.
and also another one that has all the traffic for a search algorithm is YouTube.
Yeah.
Sneaky, but it's there. So just like if you're good at the YouTube algorithm and you do it successfully or consistently, you're gonna have a successful YouTube business. So, but like to divert, like I know eBay works for me. I know that if I list every single day, it's gonna work for me. I know that they're gonna provide 5 million impressions. How long would it take me to get 5 million impressions on a place like Poshmark or Grailed or Goat?
They don't even tell you how many impressions. You can't even make decisions. That's the part that I struggle with the most. eBay will tell you okay, there's no way that you can list 70 items a day and then list 100 items a day and not notice your traffic going up. Okay, let's say you go from 70 listings a day to 140 listings a day. eBay will tell you, we're not going to double your traffic right away. It'll go up a little bit. And you'll look at that and be like, oh, okay. You can actually look at it. There's no other platform other than Amazon and eBay are the only two platforms that tell you the traffic.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. So like, we should probably back up and say where you can get this information. It's underneath the traffic tab or the performance. I think it's under the the
Performance.
traffic performance tab, the
Then
sub
traffic.
tab traffic,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll give you how many impressions, that'll give you how many views. It'll break it down between promoted listings, organic, even external views. And if your chart is up down up down up down up down up down, I can guarantee your listing is up down up down up down up down. If your chart is flat, I guarantee your listings are consistent day in and day out.
That's really the key to this. And that, I think I want to just reiterate that. Do you want to make $100 today chasing stuff, or do you want to make $100 every single day because you set up a routine that gets X amount of things into your machine? So I would say, if you are just starting and you have the model of get the best 10 items you can on the weekend, that is huge. 10
Yeah.
items at $10 profit is $5,200 a year. That's 10 items. That's not even, you could do 10 items definitely in one day, and you could just build that habit up. And then you'll know, if I repeat this 7 days a week, I don't have to work a 9 to 5 that I don't like.
And then once you make that transition, then you figure out what you want to do in your business, what niche you want to do, and then build a business around that niche. So for me, my whole inventory system is closed, my shipping station is closed,
Mm-hmm.
my photo station is closed. Everything about my business is built around a niche. So, if you're going to do VCRs, you need to have a testing station. You need to have the pre-made boxes with the foam on the corners. You need to have a dedicated storage system for VCRs. It does not matter what you do, but the model of finding the 10 best items is a difficult one to do at scale, because if you're a garage sale guy or lady, what if it rains that weekend? You're out of business. So, you have to figure out a niche, preferably something that is plentiful in your area, and then build the business around it. And that business needs to be built around a routine that you can do successfully day in and day out.
And I would say that there's two different things you can approach that way. You can do a route. So you go through a certain and get the best things that you can on a certain route. You could, for example, there are people in the group that just snipe one brand all day. That's fine. If you want to sit at home all day, you better know every single Patagonia style. You can snipe at home. I can't believe there are people that are refreshing every 2 seconds all day and buying that up, but that works because they're focused.
The only caveat to sniping Patagonia is there's zero time to look up comps. You better be on your A game. So the second that item is mislisted, it's in your cart and it's sold.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen overnight, but you have to build that business and that reseller Rolodex to say, okay, the nano puffer sells, I can sell the nano puffer for $220. This guy's got it listed for 60. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm going to snipe it. I'm going to get it. But if you're over there looking up comps, that's going to be gone, man. A dude in the group is already going to have that in his cart.
This is, I'll give you guys an example. I went I went to the flea market with my friend Prince. He sells only 7 items, or 8 items now, GoPro 1 through 8. We were walking through the flea market, and this guy had 6 GoPros. And the guy said to Prince, "You guys look like you want a new camera. Make me an offer." And this was really cool. Prince was like, "This one, 47. This one, 83. This one, 91. This one, if this thing's not broken, 109. He knew exactly what he could pay for all these different items, didn't have to look it up. And think about the power you have when you're negotiating and you know what you can pay for the item. It's huge.
Absolutely. And that all goes back to the reseller Rolodex. Prince knows every single thing in his Rolodex about GoPros. So he knows exactly what he can pay. He knows the margins. He knows what he can go up to. He knows he has it padded into his price. If this thing is wrong, which has a high chance of being wrong on this model, I can replace it and still be profitable. Like, you have to know, because if you don't know, there's people that know, and they're going to eat you up, man.
You told me something that has kind of stuck with me, which is like, men are animals and they don't necessarily treat their clothing that well. So whenever I see a hot brand on the rack, there might be something wrong with it. I immediately think, maybe there's something going on in the armpit. Maybe there's some buttons missing. I look because I'm experienced in that category. More often than not, there's a little defect that you need to basically describe to the customer. Still going to sell. It's just that you have to be observant of why is this potentially $100 MSRP item at the thrift store for $8.
Yeah, and then why is it only going to sell for 16? Because
Yep.
it's missing two buttons and it's got a hole in it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know these things when you're buying it, and buy it with that in mind, that if it does have flaws, you can still be profitable. Buying electronics when I first started doing eBay is what led me to do that, because I used to buy a lot of phones, a lot of video game consoles and whatnot, and you always have to buy it at a low enough price where if it doesn't turn on when you get home, you can still sell it for parts and still be profitable. And it's the same thing with clothes. You can't pay up on clothes and then get home and it's got a flaw that's going to result in you not making a profit, especially with everyone having cell phones now. Like, literally, you can start this business today and every single item you purchase can be a profitable item.
Mm-hmm.
This is a business where you could literally not make a bad purchase as long as you do your research before you buy the item. And that's totally unheard of when it comes to running a business or making money.
You know, Don in the group was saying when he's buying electronics, he always asks two questions. What's wrong with it? Because why are they even selling it? And then that's the second question. Why are you selling it?
Right.
What's wrong with it and why are you selling it? Because normally people don't sell electronics.
Right. And you have to buy it at a price where even if you take it home and it's water damaged or, has a bad serial number, you have to be able to sell it and still be profitable, or at the very least break even. But you can still negotiate a price where if it's totally broken, you can put it to auction as is for parts and still be profitable. That's where you have to be when you're buying any type of item.
Your biggest tool, I'd say one of the biggest tools you have as a reseller is convenience. When you tell someone, you know what, I'll buy all 5 of them. Let me offer you a little bit less. What you're doing is you're saving that person time. Could they get more money if they sold each individual item at a garage sale? Sure. But if you say, I'll take the whole bucket of Legos, they might sell to you for like double the cost of one Lego. That's a huge tool because they don't want to put that back in their garage. They want their weekend back. Then, the garage sales where they're trying to get rid of stuff, it's very different than the person with the eBay price, taped to the front of it. That person is just, I don't even know how to describe that person, but you find them.
Yeah, when you have buying power, you have all the leverage in the deal. It's up to the seller whether or not their time is worth the convenience of selling it to you at the price that you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side, we have the opportunity to turn down people who come to us and say, hey, I want to buy a lot of stuff. Give me a good deal on a bunch of stuff. We have the opportunity to say, I'm good with selling it one at a time. And that's the arbitrage of making the money is. So for me, I buy thousands of pieces of clothes per week. I can turn around and wholesale those thousands of pieces at a time, but I'm going to make less money. But if I could buy thousands of pieces per week for cheap, because I have such buying power that I am buying thousands of pieces per week, I have the opportunity to sell it one at a time and totally maximize the profits in the deal. So, that's the arbitrage. And it does come with having the capital and then having the buying power to make purchases. And the larger you go, the better discount you're going to get and the more money that you can make.
This is so important to think about. So going back to CC Filson, when that came up in the group, I looked it up. I just Googled CC Filson to see if there were any sales. Overstock.com had a CC Filson jacket for $175. It could sell for maybe $300 on eBay, maybe, right? So now you're talking, do you want to tie up $175 to maybe make $50 on a sale if it sells? Or $175 might be 17 $10 items that you might be able to flip for 30, or it might be $175 items that you got at a garage sale. You got to think about, there's a lot of variables. How much time do you have? Can you only list one item? Maybe then go only for the home runs. If you've got capital and a full-time job, your situation is different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So, for me, I got all the time in the world. That's why I got over 30,000 items. Like, I ain't going nowhere and I'm going to do the work until I go to sleep. But if you have limited time or even limited space,
Yep.
For you in California, your rent is very high. There might come a point where you have to make a pivot and say, I need to go with items that are going to sell quicker, but have bigger margin because it's very costly to store them. So, there's a lot of different variables, but again, you got to build the machine around your variables on what you could do every single day.
We have seen every model. There's a lady in Idaho that the best for her, Old Navy is a home run. That's all that there is. Okay, there's no fancy people in her town. So she has to sell plus size. She has to sell certain washes. She has to sell what's on trend because Old Navy might be making, high rise skinny jeans because that's on trend. You might be able to sell that if you find it at the thrift store, even if it's not a popular brand because it's on style. And so it's important to think about where you live determines what you can sell.
Yeah, definitely. So, down here, there's a lot of ports. A lot of the clothing
Mm-hmm.
goes to, South America, the Caribbean, to
Mm-hmm.
Africa. So pretty much all the clothing comes through the ports, and there's a whole underground economy for that type of stuff. Or, on the flip side, we got Linda in the group. She sells jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
You could do jewelry from just about anywhere. Once you become an expert, you can snipe listings all day on eBay. You can go Facebook Marketplace. You can have that kind of stuff come to you. So, you could literally live in the boonies and become an expert on jewelry and have the inventory come to you. So, like, there's a million and one different ways to do this. I've seen a million and one different ways how to be successful, and probably one way on how not to be successful. And that's not to have a consistent listing plan and not be focused and have your hands in too many jars.
We also have Jack Weaver in the call. If you check out his Instagram, he'll post the difference between flipping something 12 times in a year
Yep.
versus flipping something once in a year. And, you don't have to flip things for very much profit if the turnaround's really fast. Selling a $5 item for 15 plus shipping over and over and over again adds up really fast.
Yeah, it does, but you're only making a couple bucks. But
Yep.
if you could do that 10 times per day, like for me, for example, my average sale price is around $30.
Mm-hmm.
I already make all the money that I need to make on the $30 average sale price. All the items that sell for $9.99, $12, $15,
Mm-hmm.
$17, all that is extra. But
Yep.
I'm going to sell 20 items for $12.99 today. I'm going to make $5 on them, $6 on them. I'm going to make an extra $120 every single day just off of 5 into 12, 5 into 15, because I'm already making all the money my business needs on my average. So if you could build a business around that where you can accept smaller margins because your business is already good doing your average sale price, anything below that is extra. And then also anything above that is extra. So I sell shirts. I sold a shirt for $200 today. It was a vintage Cure concert shirt. I sold a tracksuit for Rough Riders 200. That's extra. My business is run on a $30 average sale price.
I think the 5, 8, $10 cost sell for 30.
Yep.
That's the bread and butter of eBay. If you can get into that niche, that stuff sells relatively fast. You're not in it a ton of money,
Yep.
and you basically need one sale to pay for you break even. Now the next two, you start to make some money.
Absolutely. That's how I started building the entire clothing business was $5 to $7 cost of goods, $30 average sale price. And I did that with very low overhead. And I was making so much money at that price point on those margins, almost to the point where like you just want to stay there forever. Like that's how good and how fast those items sell, the $30 price range.
And they're more desirable. Also, if you're just starting out, it may seem like it's less risky buying only $15 items for 50 cents, but you can't discount a $15 item and make it sell faster. If you have a $30 item, sometimes you discount to 25, someone's gonna pop on it. But a $15 item, sometimes the desire is just so low, it doesn't really work. It's almost like I recommend a small $30 plus store if you're getting started. Don't deal with the lower end stuff because you want to keep it simple. You want to have less items that are more expensive in the beginning. It might be not so expensive, but $30.
It's hard though when you're new, and especially when you go to the flea markets. I did this. When you go to the flea markets, And like I remember like PlayStation 2 controllers. I used to sell them for $8. I used to get them for $1. And I used to pick those things up every single time that I saw them. And like there comes a point where you have to buy more quality items, something that sells for more than $8, because once you do accept an offer, once a couple of them get returned here and there, you're not profitable on those. But when you look at it, you go, man, I turned $1 into 8. You really didn't. You probably turned $1 into 4. And if you bought 3 of them and one gets returned, you broke even. So like that's a lot of work to break even, but like a lot of people don't look at it that way. But if you sell 2 items, 5 into 30, 5 into 30, one gets returned, like you're kind of still okay.
Yeah, you got to have the margin in the beginning. That's why, I have tried every single service, every single tool, but, the complete opposite of that was what you and what Jack in the group does. He does everything by himself, spends 4 hours a day listing on Amazon.
Yeah.
And, that when you do that, your cash flow, he started with debt. And now he banks 6 figures.
Mm-hmm.
Just from doing the work by himself. It only took a couple years. It didn't even take that long.
Right. And he never got fancy where he said he needs to start hiring an employee to list for 3 hours a day. Like he's still committed doing the work. And that's why his business has blown up so quickly, because every single dollar is reinvested back into the business. You don't even have to ask him, but you could tell his costs are low. You could tell his lifestyle is low maintenance. Like that's why his business went from 0 to, what did he do? Like 1.2 million last year in such a short amount of time, because all of his money is going back into the business. He doesn't have unnecessary overhead like an employee or a bunch of employees. That's just a huge suck on your business if your business is not ready for that step.
I thought it was interesting too that he could not buy anything for several months too. The margins are there. If you make enough money, you essentially have a queue, and if you break even on the first third of the inventory, I think that's enough. You don't have to 10x your money. That's kind of unrealistic sometimes, but if you triple your money, I think you're in a good place.
Yeah, definitely. The triple, that's what I look for in my business, at least a triple. That's another beautiful place to be. The 5 into 30 or the triple in the money. That's a beautiful place to be in this business.
I think when you look at Instagram and you see people posting the big finds, posting the treasure, again, just take a step back and recognize if you just stay patient, you won't even have time to post. You'll have so many sales, it doesn't even make sense to post.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. If you have too many sales that you can't do nothing else, that's a beautiful place to be.
I know. And it's just like, I don't know. I just see it a lot, and you can tell, it's almost now, if you show us your listing habit and you show us your sourcing plan, we can tell you how much money you're going to make. Just from that.
Without a doubt. It's real easy to back into the numbers once you know how this business works. Once you know cost of goods, like it's easy to figure out. But at the end of the day, you just got to focus on running a business that you can succeed at. Hold yourself up to the highest standards, and then you can hold up everybody around you to the same standards. So my employees, they know that it's no negotiation with me personally, that I'm going to hold myself to the utmost highest standards every single day, almost to the point of trying to be as perfect as possible. And I don't have to advertise that or display that or tell them. They see it and they know, and that's why I don't have to worry about them being productive. That's why I don't have to worry about them taking shortcuts. That's why I don't have to worry about them not doing it the right way the first time. So, you have to hold yourself up to those expectations, especially in this business, because nobody else is going to hold you accountable.
So I have one more thought, which is the reverse of this. So the biggest mistake might be you making decisions based on what you see other people doing. Now, the reverse of that is you might have a family member, you might have someone look at you and be like, what are you doing? Are you just unemployed? You in between jobs? What are you doing right now? But if you know what your listing habit is, you know what your income is. You're not really if you know you list 10 items every single day and all of them are $20 items, you know you have a $200 a day income.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not consistent with that listing habit, then you're going to feel weird and unconfident and not sure because you really don't know how much money you're making. That can really get under your skin. But if you know what your listing habit is, we've never met anybody that has a listing habit that's not confident.
Never.
That's if you need self-confidence, it's just having that listing habit.
Yeah, never. Like, we've never met anybody that is focused and has a listing habit that comes to us and say, "Hey, I'm losing money," or "I didn't have a good week," or "I didn't have a good month." It's
Or
impossible.
people don't take me seriously.
No, even if you live with your parents and your parents see you every single day working at this, they're gonna have to respect you just because you're doing it every single day and they see you doing it. And over time, you can start showing them that, hey, look, I am making X amount of dollars per week, because I am working at this as it is a real job, a full-time job. A lot of people think that they could do this and not put in the same amount of hours as a full-time gig, but that's totally the opposite. Most people who are self-employed or own their own business work more than 40 hours a week. So if all you want to do is the minimum, go let somebody else cut your paycheck on Friday, because working for yourself ain't the minimum.
This was so funny. We saw this in the group that this lady, she probably lists at the same time every single week because her daughter was helping her fold clothes. And think about that. Like if your kid's like, oh yeah, my parent always does this on Friday nights. So, and they're actually helping you. That is really, really, really cool to have that routine where the kids know you're doing that day of the week. There's that scheduled time. And I feel like that's important. When I heard Ashley say that her listing starts at 9 p.m., I'm like, that situation is unique to her.
Mm-hmm.
9 p.m. That's when she can take a breath and work on something. So your schedule is just going to be based on you. Some people are asleep at Rinzi, they go to bed at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
We have two people on the same planet in the same country. Look at how different their schedules are.
Yep. And Ashley says she's lucky to start at 9. So, you
Yeah.
just like I said, you have to build a schedule that you're going to be successful at. You can't build a schedule that it's stacked against you and you can't do it. Like, it's not realistic for Ashley to say, all right, I'm going to start at 9 o'clock and I'm going to list 250 items per day. It's never going to happen. It's literally impossible to do. But like, obviously Renzi, he can find 100 pairs a day, get everything done, and be in the bed by 7. That's the world he wanted to live in. That's the lifestyle he wanted to do. So he's built a business around being able to successfully do that every single day he goes to work.
I think that's the most beautiful thing. You build a business that can cater your job. They said on the interview they never miss football.
Right.
If you want to never miss football, you better set your business up right, or you're not going to be able to do that.
And it's the same. I've never missed anything for my kid because my business is set up around where I could say, okay, let me put this on pause because I got to go do this. Like for you, you're about to have a baby. You're setting up your business where if you can't go in tomorrow, your people are still going to list and take photographs. Like, we have the ability to set up the business around our needs. And that's a very unique thing.
I saw this Navy SEAL get triggered because he posted on Instagram that he was going to the beach at 4 p.m. and somebody wrote must be nice, and then he wrote I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning today so that I could go to the beach at 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a reason why I can go right now with my family. It's not a luxury that you can't have too.
Yeah, everybody can do it. And it goes back to, you got to hold yourself up to the utmost highest standards if you want to build a life that, like you said, is a beautiful life. Like, my life is beautiful, man. Like, people probably think that I live a crazy life or I work all the time. Like, I have zero stress. I'm done by 4 o'clock, and my weekends, like, I just launch drafts on the weekends. It takes about an hour. Like, my life is beautiful, man. But I built the machine to have a beautiful life. And it took a long time. It didn't happen overnight, but that's the possibilities when you work for yourself. If I still worked at CVS, like, I wouldn't have a beautiful life. I'd be on their schedule. I'd get another 5-cent raise this year, and I'd have to go in when they tell me to go in. Sorry, dude, you got a baseball game today. I can't go. I got to go work at CVS. But no, I took the opportunity to build this life that that I wanted, that works for me. And that's all anybody can ask for. You got to use your business to build the life that you want for you.
That's right. That's the motivation you need to stop worrying about what other people are doing, because that's you don't even want that. That doesn't even relate to you. You want whatever best version of your own life is. Determine that. I'm a big fan of maybe just write down what it is that you want. You don't want to miss time with your kids? Great. You want to work only in the evenings? Awesome. You
Yep.
want to make so much money, you want to make 10 years income every year, then you better have a 10x plan. You
Yep.
can't, no one accidentally makes $1 million a year. It's never happened.
Never. And like you said, if you want to make 10 years income in 1 year, that plan is much more than just making 10 years income in 1 year. That means you have to have a good spending habit where you're not overspending on a lot of stuff. Because if you're out here buying Ferraris every month, you better be making a lot of money to last 10 years. So, my plan and my wife's plan is to, totally work as hard as we can till my son graduates school, which comes this year. Hopefully we have all the pieces in place with all the businesses that I have, where if we choose, we could be finished, take a 50-year vacation. That's the life that we wanted. So we built the machine to have that life. That life ain't for everybody. On the flip side, I think you want to do something a little bit different. And that's fine. That's your life. But a lot of people throughout this time told me, oh, we're going to Costa Rica. How come you ain't coming? Oh, you work all the time. Oh, you can't come out to dinner with us. You can't do this. No, I can't. I got to go work. I can't go Costa Rica. I got to go work. But those people are going to work till they're 65, maybe have a 401k if the system ain't bankrupt by then. But they had 2 weeks vacation their whole life.
Yep.
But they're gonna retire broke. Hopefully my machine lasts until the day I die, spitting off a bunch of money, and I have the ability to take a 50-year vacation if I choose. Again, it's not for everybody, but that's what's for me. Build a business around what you want, around your lifestyle, around the person you want to be, and around the life that you want to live. And if you're a business owner, you have that opportunity. There's dudes who move to Thailand and run their business over there. That's what they want to do. So they built their business about moving to Thailand, opening up a laptop and running their business that way. Like, we all have the freedom to do whatever we want. This is America. We have the freedom to do it. No one gets to tell us what we can or cannot do. And a lot of people do not take advantage of that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think that they have to do things a certain way. And, there's no right or wrong way, but, just build the business that is going to be around the lifestyle that you want. If you want to go to bed at 7, build the business around it. I'm all for that these days because I'm getting old.
I love this thought where it comes down to essentially the greatest wealth is being able to pick your own schedule. If
Yep.
you are a top performer, you get to pick your own schedule. The
Yep.
top salesperson at every single company goes to work whenever they want. They take the company car whenever they want. They do whatever they want. If you have somebody working for your lawn service that's a rock star, they can kind of tell you how they want to do it, and you just let them do it how they do it. If as long as they bring in the money, they choose their own schedule. If you are the lowest person on the rung at the company, you do not get to make your own schedule.
Absolutely. And what you said is, the biggest freedom is being able to make your own schedule. And immediately I thought about having to tell my son I can't go to his baseball game because I got to go to work. If I had to do that for 18 years, I would be an entirely different person than I am today. And my son, our relationship would be entirely different than what it is today if I did not have the wealth and the freedom to dictate my own schedule and do what I wanted to do on my own time.
That's true freedom.
True.
And that's the ultimate wealth, being able to pick your own schedule. You can have all the money in the world and you
Yeah.
can't pick your own schedule, you're not wealthy.
No, it really does not matter. But for me and my wife, if we want to take a 50-year vacation, that's wealth. That's wealth right there. If we don't want to work for 2 months, that's wealth. And you just got to build a machine around doing it. As soon as you said the freedom to make that decision, I instantly thought about telling my son I couldn't do something when it came down to do it. And my entire life would be totally different if I didn't have that freedom and that opportunity.
I actually still have one more thought. If you want the ability to build your own schedule, you also have to make the schedule to do that. Like
Mhm.
you can't just like wing it and get to that point. No one wings it to get to the point where they can make their own schedule. The people who make their own schedule have a schedule. Isn't that's a little weird, but the people who get it, their whole day is planned out.
I mean, you've talked to maybe hundreds of people who do, maybe thousands of people who do this.
Yeah.
I haven't met somebody who told me what their schedule is and they're not successful. I've
I
never
know.
met someone that says I go to 25 thrift stores a week. I hit the flea market every weekend at 4:30. I list when I get home. I pack in the morning, and I'm bankrupt and my life sucks and I can't make no money. I've never met that person before.
This question actually hits it right on the money. When do you list? If you can't answer that question, you probably don't have a listing habit.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a concrete time. When do you
No.
list? After I get done with my sourcing route.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. When do you list? After I get done with my sourcing route, I take a break to eat dinner with my kid, hang out with my kid till 8, and finish after he goes to bed. That's a listing time. That's a listing schedule, and that's totally fine. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be military time to the minute. It's just
No.
when do you list? I list after I ship. Okay. And what do you do after you list? Then I go sourcing. That means that person has to ship or else they can't list. They have to list or else they can't go sourcing. If you, dude, we said it last week, A, B, C, D. A business can't run B, A, D, C. It doesn't work. Everything has to be sequential and everything has to be in order to be successful.
Yeah, I love it. This has been a really enlightening episode for me because it's so easy to get sucked into what other people are doing instead of just focusing on what you have. Do the best you can with what you have. Pay attention to, what your returns are. And essentially you're getting closer to the schedule that you want. Is today closer to the schedule that you want than yesterday? Then you're getting closer.
Absolutely. And don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses. Just worry about you, worry about the success and health of your business, and just make decisions that are going to help your business long term, and just make smart decisions, make smart financial decisions, make smart decisions if you have employees. Just always make smart decisions because the business comes first. For me, a lot of people say like, oh, my wife and kids come first. My businesses come first because if my businesses fail, my wife and kids, they don't eat tonight. My wife and kids, we're not living in the neighborhood that we live in. My wife and kids aren't going to have everything that they want. If my business is not number one priority to succeed, making decisions long term, everything in my life changes. So, you know, that has to be in the forefront. That has to be a priority. It can't be on the back burner. Put your focus towards it, build a business around the life that you want, and have a schedule. And you can come back here in 6 months and tell us how much your business has improved.
There is a different responsibility as a business owner than an employee. Like, when you read that book by Sam Walton, he says in the book that Walmart was ahead of his family, not because he's not a good family person. He's a good family person. It's just that a million people work for Walmart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's like, it's not that I don't. He does hang out with his family. It's just that the priority is a little bit different when you're an owner, and it's just set up differently. Your day is set up differently. You're not saying your family is not important. It's just separate.
As you build your business or businesses, you turn around one day and you have 40 employees. That's a heavy burden. It's a heavy burden to make sound financial decisions. Not only is it 40 employees, it's 40 families. You're talking about 100 people that depend on you to make sound financial decisions for the business. And even if you have your own self, it's still the same burden because it's very different from signing the front of a check and signing the back of a check.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time this week. We'll see you next week. Take care.